Long ago, in a distant past, shamans ruled the world. These were human beings with special abilities to communicate with spirits, gods, and in even rare cases, demons. These spiritual masters existed in many cultures, including China, Japan, Egypt, America, and so forth. They say that every 500 years, many shamans compete in a tremendous battle to choose who will become the next shaman king, the god of the next universe. Over millennia, several tournaments have occurred in which the gods have changed multiple times, determining the path of the world for the next 500 years, either bringing darkness or righteousness. This time, a young boy named Yo, the heir to the Asakura family, aspires to become the Shaman King in order to reshape the world in his own image. Motivated by his grandfather's stories, his promise to his wife, and his own desires, he walks this path to accomplish this. However, an obstacle stands in his way. His twin brother Hao, said to be the strongest shaman, also aspires to become the Shaman King, to shape the world in his own image. He also wants to create a new world, but this time he wants to create a world exclusively for shamans. Yeah, no human beings allowed. Yes, I understand this is kind of similar to Jujutsu Kaisen, but Shaman King did it first, no cap. He believes that human beings have become too corrupt and they have tainted the world. They have become too selfish and greedy. This theme of greed is very important because the author, I believe, wants us, the readers, to understand that social concepts created by human beings are not perfect because the humans that create them aren't perfect either. This theme of greed is very important because it literally is the foundation for the progression of the story. How is a representation of someone who's trying to create a perfect world? He despises capitalism and wants to create a new world order. He honestly believes that human beings should be self-sufficient. My man is now attempting to become God to flood the earth. No Noah's Ark. He is literally trying to wipe us from the face of the planet. He's trying to give Earth a bubble bath, fam. He's trying to cleanse us of our sins. What made his way of thinking even worse? He met a demon as a child, and when he met this demon, he ended up merging with him and ended up amplifying his negative feelings towards human beings. And his mother dying too did not help. Like, that shit really fucked him up, fam. Like, that shit really fucked him up. Now, let me just say that young Hao has been through a lot. Or, you know what, I'll give you his first name. I'll give you his Govy. Or should I say young Doji Asaha? You guys may or may not know. Hao has had multiple lives. In his first life, he was a young boy that went by the name Doji. So he lived in a village with his mom. He lived a very peaceful lifestyle, but all of that changed when his mother was killed because she was accused of being a witch. And back in those days, if you did anything weird, you were automatically burned on a stake. Doji was alone after that. He was sad, angry, and hateful towards human beings. And because of these negative feelings, though, it gave him the ability to see and manifest demons, similar to Anu. But eventually, he grew up to become an onmyoji, an exorcist. And eventually, he was given the last name Asakura. Yes, he was the man who founded the Asakura family, man. He is the beginner, the numero uno. But take this in though. Eventually, his own family, the family that he created, outed him. Yeah, Hao has been plotting to kill the human race for a very, very long time. But it didn't stop him. He always had his eye on the prize. Even though he was exiled, he still continued to work on his master plan by creating another Asakura family. So, I want you guys to also peep this because this is very important, because this is another piece of the puzzle that is one of the amazing things that happens in the sequels later. This branch family comes back to get their respect too, but this happens 15 years later after the current events of the main story, which I really do want to talk about, so make sure you like and subscribe. But while he was an onmyoji, Hao had mastered the ability to use 5 elements: water, earth, air, fire, and lightning. And he also mastered yin and yang energy. This allowed him to continue his plans in case it didn't work out the first time. This guy was always a step ahead of people. This guy was the original Aizen. This was the ultimate failsafe because of his mastery of yin and yang energy, it allowed him to control his reincarnation process. But he still had to go through hell. After he tried and failed the first time, he reincarnated as a patch member for his second life. Why? To steal the Great Fire Spirit. Smart thinking. During this lifetime though, he also started another family too. And if you're ever wondering why Silva looks like Yo and Hao, it's because Silva is a direct descendant of this version of Hao. But for whatever reason though, after Hao was exposed, the past didn't end this bloodline. Instead, they kept them alive and gave them the responsibility of defeating Hao. But in the end of this lifetime, as you all more than likely know, he was defeated by an Asakura. That Asakura was named Yoken, and he was also defeated by his friend Masamune. But the thing is, Hao had other plans, and Yoken knew about them. Hao's new plan was to reincarnate another 500 years into the main Asakura family, once again to participate in another shaman tournament. Sadly, it was around this time that Yo's mother had gotten pregnant and she was going to have twins. And Yo's grandfather knew about this. He knew that it was about set time that Hao would be returning to the world of the living. Yome, who is Yo's grandfather, had been preparing for this moment for his entire life. This was his life purpose. He had literally been prepared for the moment where he would literally have to kill his grandson as the head of the Asakura family. And you know, that takes heart to actually kill your child and to tell the father that I'm gonna have to kill your children. But on the day of Yo and Hao's birth though, Yome didn't know which one was truly going to be Hao, so he literally resolved himself to kill both of them. But when it was game time, my man hesitated, and at that single moment, it gave Hao more than enough time to summon the spirit of fire to attack, and everyone in that room paid a hefty price today, similar to Blue Exorcist when Satan came. Cause Yo's dad got burned, Yome never forgave himself, and Yo now automatically had a life mission to defeat Hao. And shout out to Mikahasa, man, because like he took that on his chest. You know what? Let me tell you some things though. Mikahasa. It must have been so hard for you to figure out that your wife was giving birth to twins and one of them was going to be the person that possibly destroys the entire world. I can't imagine what was going through your head when Yome told you that, yo, dog, let me tell you this. You're a newcomer to this family, and I'll tell you this. I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to be very thorough. I'm going to have to kill one of your children. Nigga must have been like, what? Farasama. What do you mean? No. Listen here, Junior. This has been a problem in the Asakura family. We're trying to wipe our slate, so I'm going to have to kill one of your children. I'm going to have to kill this you, dog. As a child and a teenager, Yo spent most of his time alone training for the final day. Yo barely had any friends except for the spirits that he talked to, but just like any main character, as he starts his journey, he gains more friends, comrades, brothers at arms that he's willing to give his life for and his own dreams for, which you guys have already got a glimpse of. Yo ended up being a very laid back and chill man, but do not for whatever reason underestimate this. This low-key, laid back personality allows him to be very calm and collective, and it's one of his greatest selling points. You know, after completing the first round, he finds himself in America because this is one of the objectives. He has to find the patch village where the second round will actually start. And when they finally make it to the patch village and they see the Great Spirit, finally the second round of the shaman tournament starts and things get messy. Things get really messy here. Like here we learn of the top 3 teams in favor of winning the tournament. The Heavenly Demons, the X-Laws, the Buddhistavas, Gandhara, and my guy Hao, who's all grown up now, fam. The big bad Hao with his gang of misfits. If you're not prepared, be prepared to be executed. Because in this second round, this is when we really learn who is about it. Because these guys are fighting for their lives. Everyone has put their pride on the line. It's kill or be killed for these guys. Now, I mentioned the X-Laws and Gandhara, so you know what? Let me talk about them for a little bit. Both of these guys, these top 2 teams, they have a similar purpose to defeat Hao, but they plan on doing it different. The X-Laws, these guys are a paramilitary group founded by Lucius Lasso, whose purpose is to eradicate evil and suffering. Ironically, they act evil and they do a lot of suffering. Each X-Law member hates Hao because Hao did some fucked up shit as a child, as a youth. Let me give you some examples, like killing Lyserg's parents, burning Sebin's face off, and killing Mine's father. And you know what? Eating the X-Law souls as well. But since the X-Law's goal is to eradicate all human evil and suffering through any means necessary, they see Asakura as the very embodiment of evil. And how could you not? This guy's done some messed up shit too. But the thing about them is that they often use extreme methods where they're willing to sacrifice their lives or others to do so. They honestly just want to pass judgment on how as fast as possible. Gandara, on the other hand, they really don't believe in senseless fighting. They don't play that. They really don't need to. The X-Laws, they're all for it, and the thing is, they will justify it through any means. They move like a religious cult, and unfortunately, just like many other situations we've seen in real life, even if their actions are bad, they will justify it in the name of their god, which in this case is Iron Maiden, obviously. See, now Gandara, on the other hand, they have a special plan. Let's say special plan, which involves a group of people. But just know the leader of Gandara, Sati, that bitch is not to be trusted. Fuck that bitch. I don't care how many W's she gets, fuck that bitch. But as of recently, as you guys know, Yo has retired from the tournament after making a deal with X-Laws to save Ren's life after he was stabbed in the stomach. What can I say? You get what you give, my nigga. And it's finally been revealed that Love was the guy that killed Resub and Serum's dad. Now listen, I understand these guys are kids, but fuck these guys. Fuck these guys. These guys are switch up, bro. I don't trust these guys. And if you knew what I knew, you would understand and you feel the way I feel. Because I'm telling you this, I honestly believe they are the ones that were responsible for a certain man's death in the future. These guys cannot be trusted. Yo actually ends up going to hell. And you want to know who sent him there? Sati. I told you this bitch was not to be trusted. And listen, I get it. I understand there's a reason, and we'll get to that. But let me say my piece. Like, she really did a Paris song on my guy, Yo. She snuck up behind a man and ended his life because she believes that Yo is one of the 5 elemental heroes that will defeat Hal. So, you know what? She had to toughen him up a little bit for the final battle. Mind you, though, she also put bags on Ren's, Chocolove's, and Horo's head too, bro. Like, but here's the issue with this. There's always a chance of failure because there's a possibility that they will fail and never come back alive. Like, this is high risk, high reward. But you know what? I'll allow her because eventually she brings the Infinity Stones to the Mandem. Her and her team eventually go to hell to retrieve the rest of the great elemental spirits. Yo ends up becoming the holder of the great earth spirit. This guy becomes an earth, a metal bender, and a gravity wielder. Ren, on the other hand, becomes the lightning bearer. Horo holds the great water spirit, and Chocolove becomes the wind god. You know, and Lyserg, man, disrespectful, but he ends up holding the spirit of fire. It was a great shock to me at first, but I kind of understood it because it showed me how much pent-up rage Lyserg really had. Now, to get these spirits, take in, it's not just Enma that's a king of hell. There are 4 other king of hells that have to be dealt with. So that goes to show you how strong Gandara is. When Yo goes to hell, he ends up meeting a special person. He ends up meeting the Asakura who defeated Hal 500 years ago, Asakura Yoken. And this guy is an elite guy. He did defeat Hal, and his spirit is A1 too. But let me tell you this, when Yo comes back, bro, this guy becomes a big stepper. Big step. And after this, fam, we get to finally see the match that I know all mans have been waiting for. Team Ren versus Team Funbari Hot Springs. Now at this time, all the Mandem have new power-ups, new spirits, new Furyoku levels, new oversouls. It's a gangster party, fam. It's an epic battle, I'll tell you that much. Nearing the end, after their battle, Yo, Ren, Lyserg, Horo, Chocolove, Jean, Foss, and Ryo, they all enter the patch field. But before this, let me tell you this. The ultimate twist happens. Take this in. These guys have to end up fighting all the patch officials. The patch officials have to fight the newly formed Team Yo because realistically they have no choice because whoever becomes the Shaman King, the patch automatically have to protect them. So much suspense and heartbreak, man. Like, this is most definitely one of my favorite parts in the story. And let me tell you this, y'all probably think the patch are silly. Like, these guys are no joke, fam. Like, these guys are monsters. And you know what? Here's one thing. This kind of reminded me of the time in Saint Seiya where Seiya, Shun, Hyoga, Iki, and Shiru, they literally had to fight through the 12 temples to save Athena, to fight each gold saint. Each patch has their own specific area that they take care of, and in this area, they are kind of strengthened. And when they sing that patch song, fam, yo, may God be with you. Now, remember when I said that Hal was planning to eradicate the human race? So, near the end, Hal and Yo, they finally have a conversation as brothers and not as enemies. And the reason why I like this is because we get to see how similar these guys are. And it turns out they are more alike than we actually thought. Because, I'm making a bit of staff with you guys. Yo doesn't like human beings either. But here's the key difference though. Yo understands that even though human beings aren't perfect and a majority of them aren't bad, it doesn't mean that they aren't capable of doing better. So he believes in the end that everything will work out. So how leads it to Yo to find the answer that he's been looking for. But let me tell you this. The author, Hiroyuki Takai, he isn't done yet. He's properly set up the stage for the next story. There are so many sequels that happen after this. The very thing that Yo is trying to change is movement in silence. And Hiroyuki Takai uses a certain character to personify the one trying to resist this change, which I will talk about later as the series continues.
You've convinced me. I'm sold.
But I'll let you know
help you
this.
with this, and in return, you
I'll
can
let
help
you
me
know
with
this.
something
This
I've been
guy has
working
been
on.
plotting for
We'll work out the
very,
details later.
very
Name's
long.
Bill Cipher.
Because
and I take it
he
you're
knew
some
what
kind
was
of
going to
living
happen after the
ventriloquist dummy.
shaman tournament, and now, because of that, he's been trying to stiff arm the possibility of How winning, of Yo winning. So to find out who this person is, to find out what happens, please
Remember,
stay tuned for next
reality's an illusion,
time.
the
Make
universe
sure
is a
you like
hologram.
and
Bye,
subscribe
bye.
and share the video.